Hi everyone and welcome to another watercolor tutorial. Today I'll be showing you how to paint a kiwi. So I'm going to be using 4 colors. I just forgot to include the brown. So I'm using 2 shades of green, a black, and a brown. We're also going to be using white acrylic paint, but that is completely optional. And I'm also using 2 round brushes, one size 8 and one size 1, and also a liner brush, and I've linked them down below in the description if you're interested in purchasing some and adding a few to your collection. So for the first step, you're going to take water, or you can take a light tinge of the green. I'm just basically picking up a little bit of pigment just so you can see the shape that I'm painting on. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to see what I was painting if it was just a clear layer of water. But you want to get a nice ovular circular shape just to make it look like a kiwi that has been cut in half. And then you're slowly going to start layering more colors onto that base layer. So you want to make sure that that first layer is still very much wet, because if it isn't wet, then the colors that you layer over top won't bleed into one another. But basically what you're doing here is you're making the border of the kiwi quite dark, and then you're just adding a little bit of lime green color coming towards the center, and you want to make sure you're lifting off any paint that bleeds into the center, because you want to keep the center fairly white and clear, because in a normal looking kiwi, the center is usually a nice cream colored white. So just make sure that anytime you see a little bit too much of the green paint starting to bleed into the center, just pick it off, lift it off with your paintbrush. And the way you do this is you just clean your paintbrush so that there's only a tiny bit of water on it, and then you just pick up the green paint that has seeped into the center, just like I'm doing here. For this next step, we are going to paint on those lines that you see coming from the center of a kiwi. And this is very simple. You're just going to take a little bit of that darker green mixed in with a little bit of lime green, and you're going to paint on these lines that come from the center going outwards. And you want to make sure that you're not going all the way to the end, because that obviously is not what a kiwi looks like. And you want to make sure the color that you're using is pretty reminiscent or pretty similar to the very end of your kiwi. The color that is kind of the border of your kiwi, and not any darker than that. Make sure that you keep that white portion sort of irregularly shaped, because if it's a perfect circle or a perfect oval, it's not going to look genuine and real. What you can also do, just to make sure that those lines coming from the center are the same pigment as the edge of your kiwi, is you can border your kiwi with that same color. It also gives it a little bit more contrast and makes it seem like a little bit of that fuzz that is usually on a kiwi is sticking out, and we are going to actually be adding that fuzz shortly. So once that green border has dried completely, and you want to make sure it is completely dry, otherwise it will bleed into the brown fuzz that we're painting on now. So you're going to take a little bit of your brown watercolor, and this is where we switch to the liner brush. So this is a very, very thin brush, but you can also use a size 1 round brush for this step. And basically you're just painting on these tiny little hairs coming from the border of the kiwi, because of course a kiwi is pretty hairy. While that's drying, you can just take your size 1 round brush and paint on the black seeds that are in the center of the kiwi. And the way to make this look really realistic is to make sure that you're varying kind of the proportion of seeds per line, because the seeds are usually embedded in the lines rather than in the white parts in between the lines. So you can paint maybe 2 per line, and then the next line will only have 1 seed, and just alternate it that way so that it doesn't look very linear. You want it to look very natural, like you just cut a kiwi. Just make sure that the lines are completely dry before doing this step, otherwise your black seeds will sort of bleed and they won't be as sharp as is necessary for the details of the seeds. So once your black seeds are completely dry, this part is completely optional, but if you want to add a little bit more complexity and detail to your kiwi, you can use acrylic paint or even white gouache to basically add some accents to your seeds, and you can even add some lines in white coming from the center of the kiwi as well. So I did the exact same steps on this second kiwi, I just sped it up a little bit so that you could see it in faster time. But I just want to take this opportunity to remind you guys to like this video if you are enjoying it, and also consider subscribing to my channel, as I do upload 2 videos every single week with real-time tutorials, time-lapse tutorials, sketchbook Sundays where I just chat about random topics while I'm painting. So if you enjoyed this video, then I'm sure you will enjoy some of my other content. Anyways, that's basically it for my kiwi tutorial. Make sure you stick around and check out my video that I upload next week, because I'm going to be showing you how to paint 3 different bookmarks using 3 different fruits. Thanks so much for sticking by. Again, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and also check out some of my previous uploads.